Welcome to this part on REST concepts. We will be writing a lot of Node code using REST framework, and that is why I thought let me introduce the framework a bit. Now, if you want to get into details of REST, I will share other links down below, which will give you access to some more details. Okay. Now, let's say there's a client and it wants to exchange student information from the client to a server. So things like first name, last name, mobile, email, so on and so forth. Now, how would this information be exchanged from a client's browser to a server? And that's where REST comes in. Now, from a client to a server, one needs a certain protocol, a certain language through which this communication would happen. And the primary de facto protocol on the web is HTTP. Now, on the protocol also, one needs certain grammar or certain guidelines to exchange the messages so that the client and the server can both understand each other. That's where earlier SOAP used to be used. SOAP stood for Simple Object Access Protocol, especially when Java was at its peak. SOAP was the de facto standard for communication. Nowadays, however, REST has taken over. There is a growing abundance of REST being used globally for all kinds of web-based information. Right? It was introduced by Roy Fielding in the year 2000 in his PhD thesis, and basically he wrote down a set of guidelines of how HTTP could be utilized to better communicate information between client and a server. Now, in the SOAP world, typically you would have URLs or uniform resource locators like this. You would have a domain name, you would have the resource, then you would have the method or what needs to be done on the resource, like student lookup, and then the ID of the resource. You would have student add information, student update information, and the ID. In the REST world, the ask is to identify resources in the URIs, right? So you have the domain, the resource, and the identifier of the resource. But what about the method? What needs to be done on the resource? That is typically identified using the method of HTTP, right? So you have get, put, post, and these methods tell the server what needs to be done on the resource. So let's look into them. So let's say we do a get method and we have domain slash student and then the identifier. This will get all the information of this particular student back to the client. Now, let's say we want to add information about a new student. You can just do domain slash student. Or let's say I want to modify information about a student. So I would do domain, resource, and then the identifier. Similarly, if I want to delete, I would say domain, resource, and the identifier of the specific student that I want to delete from the system. Now, resources could also be nested. So if you look at this example, let's say we allow comments on students. Let's say teachers want to comment on students. So if I want to do some get methods, the first one here, student slash one slash comment slash two would give me the second comment for student one. Get student one would get all the information of the first student. Student one slash comments would get me all the comments of student one. Post is posting a new comment. So either I a student and will add a new student. We could say student slash one, add a comment. This would add a comment to student one. Put, which is for modification. We could student one comments two, meaning I want to change the comment two within student one. Delete, I could do resource, student one, then comment, and then two. So I want to delete the second comment for student one. Or we could simply do student slash one, delete the entire student, and that means all the comments of student one will also be deleted since comments need to belong to a student. Right? So what did we see? All clients in the REST world exchange information with servers in JSON format and give the ability to define methods using HTTP methods like get, post, put, and delete. Right? This framework of mentioning the various HTTP methods in Node is referred to as routing. So in the node world, we would use routing to configure these various HTTP methods and then in turn say what needs to be done in each. Okay. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the next video.